They were like laughing. But
Oh
no.
my goodness. Yeah, I'm going to keep trying to see if I can figure this out.
Did you figure it out though?
I'm working on it.
So we're looking for the Brady Bunch setting.
Right. Yes. We want the Brady Bunch setting.
Oh, okay. Here's somebody. Darcy Harper says, I don't have video.
Huh.
So
well, that is probably a Darcy setting.
Yeah, let's see if everybody else can see us. Participants, I can see all of their names. I can see their names, but I can't see them.
Okay, Deb Braun can see us all.
Maybe they can say, oh, they can, okay, so I can see both of you from Val. So at least we're being seen.
So Darcy, you got your, it's a setting on your side.
Yep. Okay, so I see a place where it says display up to 49 participants per screen in gallery view. That's what we want, gallery view, but it's grayed out. I don't know why it's grayed out.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it should not be grayed out. So you guys do your thing. Russ is going to give you an amazing intro, and I am going to.
I think we're fine. I mean, as long as we know that they can see us, I think we're
it is nicer when you can. But okay, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. Looks like we have a fair amount of people on the call. There are some people on the call that you guys have seen Betty before, and we have some people that have not. So I'd like to introduce you. Betty is our upline presidential diamond, and she is an amazing leader. And
I just got my suitcase.
Oh, that's so exciting!
Yay!
Like for 3 months, you get your big Toomey suitcase to match the little one that you get for food.
That's so exciting.
So cool.
And we're so happy she's just recently ranked up to presidential diamond, although she probably could have done it many, many times before, but she has an amazing perspective on the business part, and that's growing into your ranks. And it's something that we've learned, and we are doing the same. And we're trying to help our folks do the same as well, so that they get there and they stay there and their businesses grow and flourish. So we've learned so much from you, Betty, and we're just so excited tonight to have you speak with our team. It's been a while, I know. I can't remember actually the last time you were in Colorado Springs.
It was Diamond Club, and then I was coming back regularly. It's like now, I don't know, Minnesota has just, now that I moved to Texas, I keep going back to Minnesota.
Right.
So,
Gotcha.
I understand.
Utah and Minnesota, those are like the two big ones.
So anyways, we appreciate you so much, Betty, and we're so excited to hear from you tonight. And we're so proud to be a part of your team and to be a part of doTERRA as a whole. So
it is so fun to work with the two of you because we are of the same mindset.
Right.
Like, the first time we met, I think it was at the team party, maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
And I remember just hitting it off instantly and just being of the same mindset because we have all been around the block.
Right.
So,
absolutely. We've done the network marketing thing before.
Yep. And we did it so that we could learn a whole bunch of lessons.
Right.
Right.
Good and bad. So
yes. And we still are.
What's that?
We still are learning.
Oh gosh, we learn every single day. And the people
exactly.
that are in doTERRA and it's their first company, they are like very lucky people.
Absolutely.
They're lucky people, but they're never going to truly be able to appreciate it the way that we can appreciate it.
Right.
Right.
Out there. And sometimes we tell horror stories, but it's not that we want to dwell on the horror stories, but I think people need to understand like what's out there to really appreciate what we have.
Right.
I wouldn't mind telling a couple of horror stories.
Yeah.
Should I?
Yeah.
Right.
Let's hear it. Let's go.
Let's be vulnerable tonight. Yeah.
There was one company that I was in, and I never intended to do any more than just one company. I'm a school teacher by profession. I taught high school for 2 years, and then I taught college for 13. I was like a really respectable person, right? With a career and degrees and everything else. And then it just got to the point where it was just, I didn't have time for my kids. I had the long commute. When you're teaching, there's never any extra time. And so I'm going to turn this off. don't you love this ring? There is motion at your front door. I hope it's somebody I know. But I think it's Gabriella. But yeah, so I was, in this teaching job, I thought it was the greatest thing ever in the history of the world until the reality hit as I had my 2 girls, and the fact that, number 1, I didn't have enough money. Number 2, I didn't have any time. And number 3, I just was like so overwhelmed. I was having like anxiety attacks, and my health was really, really going down. So there were just a lot of reasons why I needed to leave the profession. And I found direct sales and did that for about maybe a year. Like back then, what we called direct sales were companies like just selling. Right. So there were companies like Tupperware and Pampered Chef. And the one that I was in was a company called Dorling Kindersley, which was educational material. So it was such a perfect fit. So I did that for like a year. And then it was like very clear to me that people don't eat books and they don't need to order more the next month. And they actually go to the library and check them out, which was like, wait a minute. So then within a year, I was like I learned the concept of leverage. And I'd learned the concept of residual. And I have like a master's degree in business education. I'd never heard of those concepts. And so I got a taste of that. And I was like, wow, but it was clearly not going to be there with the books because it was going to be living or dying by the sale. And so then that's when my marketing with passion. But whatever, network marketing, direct sales, it's all the same thing. It's awesome. It's about residual income. It's about leveraging your income. It's about helping other people succeed. And as a result, you are going to be rewarded forever. So, it's like a win-win-win type of situation. Well, when I was enrolled into my first network marketing company, I didn't know that there were other network marketing companies in the world. I thought that was the only one. And so I thought, wow, this is really interesting. And so I actually went for the product, and it was kind of a bait and switch. Like the person that introduced me saw that I had a rotator cuff issue, and she kept talking about this product. And I said, well, just sell me a bottle of it if it's so great. I didn't believe it anyway. I just wanted to get her off my back because I thought, if it's so great, why wouldn't the doctor tell me about it? The doctors that I've been seeing for probably 5 years already, trying all these different things. And they were like, okay, the only thing we have for you now is surgery. And I didn't want to do that. So I said, can I just buy a bottle? And she's like, nope, you got to come to this educational meeting to learn about it. So I went with her to this. I agreed to go. In a weak moment, I said yes. And so then she did not answer her phone that day as I was trying to call her to cancel. And that's like before any of us even knew texting. I don't even think it was existing then. Right. I don't even think texting was around. But I'm like, oh man, this woman's going to come over here. She's going to take me to this meeting. Okay, I have to go. So I went, and it was really interesting because for about the first maybe 10 to 15 minutes, they talked about the products. And the products were pretty awesome. But almost immediately, it went to how you could make money. Yeah. Right. And I just thought, oh, this is so, it just was so unsavory to me to have tricked me to go there for the product. But it was interesting that I was listening to what they were saying, and some of it was making sense, but I still didn't want to do it because I was really hung up on my credentials. And then what got me was at the end of the meeting, because it was called a meeting, there were some people that stood up in front of the room. And they were people who had had success in that company. And they stood up in front of the room and they told their stories. And one was, there were 2 school teachers. They were married to each other. There was a nurse. There was a man who owned a construction company. There was a postal worker. There was a farmer. I mean, there were these people that were up there from all different walks of life. And they were telling stories of getting out of their jobs. It was like incredible stories. That's what caused me to pay attention. But by the time I got home, those brochures they gave me, I just got home and I just threw them on the counter. And I said, you know what? Like, what am I thinking? Like, this can't be for real. I mean, I've got all this education in business, this business education. Nobody ever talked about this. This has got to be a scam. So I threw the brochure on the counter, And my husband at the time was an accountant, and he picked it up, looks through it, and he goes, I never heard of this kind of business either. I've never heard of this, but this is actually, it looks like a viable business. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? And so then I called my girlfriend the next day, who's also an accountant. She was an accounting professor, and her husband's an attorney. And I said, okay, I really respect you guys. Can you look at this and tell me what you think? And they looked at it, and she said, I'm going to do it whether you do it or not. And I said, okay, I've got my first person. Let me just do it. And so that's how I started my network marketing journey, direct sales journey. And so I planned to be with that company forever, but I saw some things along the way. It was very much about materialism. It was like all the pictures in the magazine were people standing in front of expensive houses, expensive cars, and dripping in diamonds.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was seeing like their value system was not my value system. The way that they conducted themselves, you know, like after events, you know, that kind of thing. And so I was like, oh, so I was just seeing things that didn't sit well with me. And so I probably foolishly left a really nice income. My husband and I left a very nice income, like about $18,000 a month, to go with another gentleman to another company. And supposedly they were better products and they were phenomenal. And it was a higher level of health, and it was ground floor. So I don't know what interested me more. I know that for sure the better products, and then the education and everything. But the way he talked to me, I'd never heard talk like that. He said, you know, with our skill, with our talent, he's like, you know, instead of making, you know, $18,000 a month, we could be making like $50,000 a month. I was like, oh my God, I'd never even heard of this. That's what I made in a whole year as a college teacher. Never, and nobody talked to me like that. Like he totally sweet talked me, enticed me. And so I'm going higher level of products, education, you know, everything just fit. So we left the other company. We didn't leave, they terminated us because that's how you leave a company, right? Because basically my husband talked to his sister and told her what we were going to do. And because she was in the organization, that was a big no-no. And so we were terminated, and we were with this other company. And my question in that other company, and I'm addressing a couple of things that you sent to me along the way of the story. When I got to that company, I just looked at my husband and said, we have to break whatever records there are. So that was my question to them. Okay, what's the record? And I need to beat that record, because that's the only way we're going to stay afloat and be able to keep our house and be able to pay, you know, like our bills and everything. And so they told us what the record was. And I told my husband, well, let's do it. Let's just do it. But see, the thing is, we didn't develop leaders. What we did was we just propped people up. We just took people that we thought or that we liked, or we were saying the right words, and we basically built it out for them. And because we needed to get there faster. So we broke the record. It was like in 4 months. And then the week later, we got to the top rank in the company, like in unbelievable time. And the next week we doubled it. We fully doubled it and had an extra leg. So it was like this crazy thing that we did. The problem with doing it that way, everybody that we brought on, what do you think we brought them on for? We talked about the product for a few minutes, about how great the product was, but we brought them on for the money.
Yeah.
And so when you bring people on for the money, you are setting almost everyone up for failure.
Absolutely.
You bring them on for the product and the wellness and the coaching and all of that, you're setting everybody up for success. So everybody was looking for money. And within about 6 months, we had so many people that had dropped out. We were just losing them so fast. All we were doing, we were on a treadmill, trying to bring in as many as what we were losing and maybe a few extras just to try to stay afloat at where, you know, the amount of money that we needed just to like keep everything. And it was really, really a horrible time. So then we couldn't keep it up. Like, how do you keep it up? I enrolled like 300 people personally, like enrolled like myself in like a short period of time. It was like a year or two. So then what do? It's when pay-per-click started. So I thought, okay, I'm going to go online. So I went online. I got in on the pay-per-click craze, not knowing anything about what I was doing online. And so I'm like the most non-tech savvy person you've ever met. And I'm sitting there killing it Like I would wake up and I would go to my website and I'd have 5 to 10 customers every single day. And when I got to, I think it was about 1,000 of my own customers, I'm like, I can't handle this. I can't handle this follow-up. And so then I started, like going to the leaders in my organization and having them qualify to be able to buy customers that already had orders. So they came out already with a customer that had an order. But out of all those thousands of customers, we never had one that ever built. And the few that decided they wanted to build the way that we had built. So they didn't want to listen to the fact that, hey, we got to 6 figures by like talking to all these people and going to vendor shows and following up and building relationships. If we got them on the internet, they wanted to go on the internet to get their people. And the follow-up skills that you have to really develop a relationship with somebody that you've met on the internet that you really don't know. It's like not that many people have those skills. And some people do it by paying tons of money, tens of thousands of dollars, for like these programs. They've gotten much more sophisticated, these programs, to like, give the illusion of following up for you kind of thing. So that was a huge lesson that I learned. And when I was talking to Justin, maybe about a year or so ago, and we were talking about retention in doTERRA, and doTERRA actually announced this a year ago at, I think it was the Blue Diamond Presidential Summit. They gave retention numbers, and they said the people who build face-to-face and through events have twice the retention as those people who build online. But let me tell you the real numbers. Okay, and that is probably true across the board. But Justin gave me some insights into an analysis that doTERRA had done. And they took 2 of the top face-to-face event builders and 2 of the top online organizations. And Haley's not one of them, because I know everybody right away thinks it's Haley. Haley's not one of them. She's, like very different. But 2 of the online, and what they found is that those 2 top online organizations, their retention was 6%.
Oh my.
6, single digit 6. And the 2 organizations, and they took one that's, large, but more or less mid-level, and the one that's huge. Those 2, their retention was over 80%. It was right around 82%. That's the difference. So sometimes it seems like you're going slowly when it's going one by one by one, but that's really going fast. When you're going fast, and bringing all these people on board, but they're just dropping off as fast as you're bringing them on, that's slow, because you're going to have to go back and rebuild it. So when I came to doTERRA, I came with those insights. That was one of the lessons that I learned. And when I came here, first of all, I was not going to build another company. There was no way. I'm sure that you guys were in the same place too. It's like, we're never doing this again. And it was just so many terrible experiences. I think of another company. Oh my God. Okay. And I want to go back to where I was, but there was one company, it was incredible. It just looked so good. Okay. It just looked so good. Because by the way, the company that I went to broke the record, did the online thing. They sold out to a pharmaceutical company. And the pharmaceutical company flew the leaders to the Bahamas, put us up in a really crummy old Wyndham hotel. And they put us in a room and they basically told us, you guys don't matter. All you're doing is funding our pharmaceutical research. It's our way or the highway. So you decide what you want to do. Yep. And so they told us that. And then it wasn't more than maybe another year that they came up with this brilliant plan to have a worldwide seamless compensation plan. But see, we didn't have that at that time. We had different plans in every country. So they chose the plan from, I don't know what country, Korea or an Asian country, and then they wanted to implement it in the US, which meant pay cut. And the 2 people that were the most affected were the 2 people that had actually built their organizations from the ground up, myself and another guy. The other people, little did I know when I signed up with this company, but I found out later that they had been allowed to structure from unilevel to binary. So they were told, you guys have like 48 hours, take everybody in your organization that right now is unilevel and set them up in binary. And these people were making $10,000 a week almost overnight. but that was fake because they had not built it in the right way. So that's what one company did. So my income dropped, like in half after working so hard to build it so fast to try to stay afloat. It dropped in half. And then there was another company, and then there was another company, and the other company, there was one that had this beautiful brochure with all these buildings, and we're so international. Well, I had a big Russian team from a previous company, and I had them look at the brochure. I flew the leader in to, I think it was Houston, and the owners didn't want to meet us at the corporate headquarters. They wanted to meet us in the bar of a hotel. Yep. And so we met with the owners in the lounge. It was the Omni. I think it was the Omni in Houston. We met in the lounge. And then the Russians were like really impressed. They even brought, letters of, I've worked with this company. I've worked with that company. They were like almost interviewing for a position. Okay. So what happened was that when this leader said, okay, let's do it, to all her Russian leaders, they started researching. And they started showing up at some of the buildings that were in the brochure. And no one had ever heard of the company at those buildings.
Oh, no.
They had just put together a brochure with the buildings. So you can imagine, like at the point that I was at, and I'm going right back to where we were, the point that I was at where I'm like, I'm never doing this again. I can't trust anybody. This is just a terrible profession. Don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm going to look for a job. I've got credentials. It'll take me a long time to get to retirement because at the time I was 54 and now I'm 62, but I was 54 and I'm like, I'm starting all over again right now. It's going to take me maybe 30 years to build a retirement. I have all this debt to get out of. We had just lost our house. I mean, it was just a terrible, terrible, terrible place to be. That's when doTERRA came into my life. And that's exactly why I didn't want to do it again. And the only reason I looked at it was because of the Lifelong Vitality Pack. I knew I wanted quality nutritional supplements because I knew that if I was going to go and work 30 more years in the workforce to try to get to retirement, I was going to have some nutritional supplements, right? So that's what got me into doTERRA. And then it's just like things happen for a reason. And the day that I got my order, I placed the order out. I looked at it for 3 days. I looked at all the products for 3 days. Didn't want to hear anything about the business. I just wanted to look at the products. And I then signed up on a Sunday, and on a Thursday, I got my product order, and it was not expedited or anything. And I was like, what? It got here this fast? And the packaging was absolutely brilliant. It was beautiful. I was like, wow. And it's like, don't get any ideas. Don't get any ideas. My enroller, very smart woman, she calls me and she says, there's an event in your area tonight. As a matter of fact, Justin Harrison, the master distributor of doTERRA, is going to be in Minnesota tonight, and you need to go and learn about the products that you just ordered. That's how she got me there. And I said, don't get any ideas, but I'll go to learn about the products. Well, I went to this tiny town, like not Minneapolis. It was this tiny town, and I went to the location. It was an old folks home. And this event was in the basement of an old folks home, and there were 7 people there. And here's Justin up in front, teaching his heart out. And I'm thinking, where's the master distributor? Because I probably went as much to learn about the products as I did to prove to myself I shouldn't do it again. Here he is, teaching his heart out. So much passion. He's not dressed like I thought a master distributor would be dressed. He's wearing like a doTERRA polo shirt and khakis and rubber sole shoes, and he's like, showing a picture of his wife and his kids, and then my wife used the lavender like during her, delivery, and then my wife did this, and then we used this, and he's just talking about the products, and I'm thinking, he's not going to talk about the money. This is like really weird because normally the master distributor is like all about the money. So it's like my brain was started to be scrambled up. Then he tells us that there was a special deal that night. And we could get all this product. And I had just placed like an $800 order. And he's like, we have all this product that you can get for like this price. And so I'm like, wow, this is like a great deal. So I ordered it. So I'm watching myself order another order when I have no money. And I'm placing another order in the same month, within the same week with this company. Do you know that event with 7 people was a post-convention event? And that order that I placed was a tour kit. So then it was, I started using the products, and just things started to happen. And all this stuff started to happen. And then 4 months later, approximately 4 months later, I was a gold, and I wasn't really building yet. And I was a gold, and I thought I need to fly into corporate and meet the owners because I want to make sure they have a building and that they're real people and all of that. And so myself and Rosalie Elliott, and she's upline to like pretty much everybody here, right? And then
everybody
did also. We went there, and I think I was a gold, but back then gold was, you know, like 5, 5, and 5. You didn't have structured premieres. And it's a good thing they changed it to be structured because there weren't that many people that were then advancing because they didn't know how to structure. So it helped show us how to structure. And they kind of grandfathered us for 6 months, gave us a 6-month notice. But I was a gold without really even knowing that much about what I was doing. Lori was like a premier, and I think Lori was like a silver, and Rosalie was a premier. So here we were, like not huge, gigantic, builders yet. And do you know that every single owner sat down with us? We went into the their conference room, which was being leased at the time. They were leasing space all over like the Orem area, like wherever they could get a space. The back of a gas station was customer service. This was like one of the floors in a building was where they had their corporate offices. And those owners sat there across from us in the most humble, gracious, generous way. And each one of them told us their story and the story of doTERRA. And then they brought in the department heads to tell us about where they had been, what doTERRA had done, and where we were going. And they instilled the vision. It's what they do at convention for us, is what they did for us that day in a little conference room. And, it was like basically 5 women. It was my enroller, and then, Lori, Rosalie, myself, and then there was a gal, one of the Russian gals who never ended up, really doing anything with doTERRA, but she was there. And now she wants to, come on board. And it's like, okay, everybody else in that room is, like pretty high. So let's go. Come on, let's do it. But that was the story of really seeing that doTERRA was the real deal. And then it was not much longer after that Diamond Club rolled around, and I did Diamond Club, and that was like such a game changer. Because you think you're doing what you're supposed to do. And you guys have graduated Diamond Club, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah. I hear so many people say, oh, I'm going to just do it, but not really, because I don't want to do the paperwork or whatever. No, you need to be like in the fire, and you are in the fire when you actually apply for it, qualify for it, and do it. It's the most amazing accountability program ever. And for me, because I didn't have any money to build my business, for me it was huge, because what I would do is I would start, because I lived in Minnesota at the time, and I would drive from Minnesota down to San Antonio. And one time I found a flight. I was going to go up to Anchorage to help up there because, Rosalie and Lori had all these people, and Farrah was just getting started, and Dorothy and all of that. So I flew up to Anchorage. I was going to fly up there, and it's like $800 round trip. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so much money. And so I started researching, and I started looking on orbits, and I found that if I went to Anchorage, then to San Antonio, from San Antonio, I went to Nashville. From Nashville, I went to Dallas. From Dallas, I went back to Minneapolis. The trip went from $800 round trip to Anchorage to that full loop for $640, and Diamond Club covered 600 of it. Cost me $40. And then wherever I went, I just stayed, like in San Antonio, I stayed with my sisters, in Dallas, I stayed with, Paula, who's one of my platinums. In Nashville, I stayed with one of my girlfriends that I used to teach with at the college. I would just find like free places to stay. And then when I would do it, because sometimes it was more economical to drive it, I would start in Minneapolis, and I would put out to the whole team, okay, I'm driving from Minneapolis to San Antonio. I'm going to be taking I-35 the whole way. Within 3 hours, in any direction of I-35, if you can set up a one-on-one or a class or anything, I will do it. And that's what I did. And so that's what I did during Diamond Club. And then after that, it's like I was in the practice of it. And so I just kept going. I just kept doing it. But Diamond Club really helped me to see that it's not just about activity. You have to get the results. So whatever you have to tweak in order to get real results, and that's what Diamond Club, I mean, so I highly, highly recommend it. And Diamond Club has gotten, in my opinion, it's gotten a lot easier. My daughter, oh my gosh, my daughters are like, oh mom, the kids don't want to hear any of this stuff. It's like walking uphill 5 miles in a snowstorm both ways, or something. How our parents used to tell us those stories. Diamond Club used to have it be long distance, it was 200 miles each way. So if you wanted to count a market as a long distance market, and I had to get special permission because my class was 197.5 miles away. So I was either going to have to move locations another 3 miles, and they gave me special permission. But now it's what, like 50 miles?
Yeah, it's 50 miles.
And 50 is like nothing. I mean, you can do that easily in one night. But
absolutely.
I used to do that in one night.
Driving from northern Colorado to South Denver is 50 miles.
Yeah. So long distance, it's just really developing your area. When you're in a metropolitan area, it's not that hard to go the 50 miles. So Diamond Club, learn more about it, do it. It is an amazing program. We're in it right now. We've got people that are working it right now. And we have another one that's coming up. I think qualification month, is it June? July is planning month, and it starts in August. August, September, October, November. Yes. So it's June is qualification, and just go to doterradiamondclub.com, doterradiamondclub.com, and you can read about what the qualifications are there. But it definitely is a game changer, and a large percentage of diamonds and above, have done Diamond Club. So I think that's one of the best programs that we have. And by the way, there's a gal named Marie Kim up in Canada.
Yeah.
She's like a double blue diamond or something like crazy like that. Some awesome thing. She's one of the doubles. She has built her business on Diamond Club. And basically when somebody in her organization hits silver, they do Diamond Club. There's no two ways about it. You hit silver, you're going to do Diamond Club. And then, and that's the qualification for doing Diamond Club. But she also has people run the first month. So the way that it's structured is you have to get 10 enrollments on your team, or 7 on your team and 3, cross line. You can get 30% cross line. But they start you with 10 the first month, 18, 18, and 18, just to graduate. And Marie Kim has just the opposite. She has everybody just put so many enrollments in the first month. She said, put in, 20, 30, 40, 50 enrollments the first month, like you and your team. And then after that, you're working to get them on loyalty rewards, and you're working with their people. Like the rest of them just fall into place if you go for more the first month. So I think that's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah, it is.
It is super smart.
Yep. So what questions do you have for me? I tried to cover them.
I have them written down here.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. So the first question we have, this is from Gina St. James. She says, when you have hit plateaus in your business, how did you push through? And have you ever changed your style of teaching? Okay,
plateaus. Okay, you know what a plateau is? It's a lack it's the lack of new people. Any problem that you have is going to be solved. Any plateau that you're on is going to be solved by going out and getting new people. So teaming up with people and going to networking events. Go to some fun stuff. If you hear about, a great speaker or a concert in town, go a little bit early. You meet people that way. Vendor events, but inexpensive ones. My daughter Alicia did a really awesome training at Base Camp Retreat, and we posted it on Discover Essentials Facebook group. Maybe you have it on your group too, but she did like a 20-minute segment that told everything about what you need to do for a vendor event. Keep it really inexpensive, what your booth flow should be, how simple it should be. You don't need to stock a lot of product because you probably aren't going to sell a lot of product. What you are there for are the relationships, how to run a drawing. And basically, anybody who wants to attend a class, or anybody who says they're interested in being an essential oil educator, or anybody who wants to learn more, they're winners, right? So they win. So instead of just pulling one winner, it's basically anybody who you've written notes on, who's interested in learning more, or they've checked something off. There are these really cool little drawing slips that you can buy at oillife.com. Oillife.com. and they're just little packs that you can have people fill them out. And then when somebody comes to your table, and Alicia talks about everything, like to stand out in the hall, on a hot day, you're giving, you're spraying peppermint. Maybe you're talking about, whisper. I mean, whatever. Pick something that you're going to get people to stop. Like she'll say, you want a quick pick me up? And it'll be a spray of peppermint, like peppermint drops inside of a bottle of water in a spray bottle. Want a quick pick me up? Or a peppermint beadlet. And then she'll say, oh, we're having a drawing for, and then usually it's an intro kit. And then she'll be talking to them while they're filling out the form. And then she takes the form from them. That way she can write notes on the back of it. And, she will run, a number of different drawings. And usually she will run one drawing that's the drawing, and then she'll just look at the rest of them and they're winners. And then she does not ship out prizes. She actually calls them, congratulates them, you're a winner, and when can you get together so I can show you how to use the products that you want? And then they schedule appointments. And so Alicia does that, Gabriella does that. Both of them were brand new and both of them are my daughters, and they're brand new in their areas. Like Alicia didn't know anybody in Colorado when she first moved there. Two of her qualifiers for platinum came from vendor events. And then Gabriella moved to San Antonio a couple years ago, didn't know anybody, other than her cousins, and I already had all of them signed up. She came down here and she was like, my kids were like, geez, you just like took everybody. It's like, well, if it wouldn't have taken you so long to decide to do doTERRA, you would have had a chance at them too. But it's really amazing the way that they do it. Like Alicia, when she does a vendor event, she won't travel for 2 or 3 weeks after, because that's her time to really maximize on the contacts that she made at that vendor event and to meet with them face-to-face, schedule a couple of classes. It's always good to have a couple of events coming up that you can promote at the table. Gabriella's a master at doing that, master at follow-up, and she keeps inviting people. And she sends out individual texts to them, keeps inviting them. And it's really funny because there was one woman that was like a year ago that she met her, and she was like thinking, am I like bugging her? This woman, the last luncheon that we have, because we have these lunch and learns, she said, oh, I'd like to come to this one. It was on skincare, because we do different topics at those. And she said, I'd like to come. And she said, is it okay if I bring 2 friends? And Gabriella's like, of course. And she came and she brought 2 friends. And she's somebody who had never responded to anything that she had sent for like a whole year, but she was paying attention. She was paying attention. So basically, that's a solution to any plateau, because the plateau is like, you're like trying to, squeeze out of the few people that you have. Just get out there, meet some new people. Mm-hmm. Meet some new people, and then don't get the idea, like in my opinion, like to start new legs all the time. Like when you've invested in certain people, if you can trust them, your qualifier can be 3 or 4 or 5 levels deep. Your qualifier doesn't have to be your frontline person. Granted, it can mess up your 3x3, but the 3x3 is like money now, which is really nice to have money now. But, if you've already invested, you've already got 1,500, 1,600 coming up that leg, and you're like, oh, I'm really frustrated, they're not doing anything. You want to start another leg. I've seen so many people do that, and they end up with all these legs that have combined, they'd actually rank. And so, like the fire in the basement, believe me, those people, we've heard this before, right? Those people that are up above, they become very motivated. I've got a platinum under a couple of guys that had basically disappeared. They're both back, and they're both builders now because they've got a platinum under. And one of them his check's like $2,200 a month, and he's only a premier. He's a premier, and his check is $2,200 a month. Wow. He's been on hiatus for years, trying to run a failing business that is going under. Now his doTERRA business is making more profit than his other business, and now he's serious because he's got that fire that's lit under him. But she's my qualifier, and I think she's on my 6th or 7th level. So you can have your qualifier wherever in those legs. Just don't throw away those legs too fast, is my philosophy. Right. And I heard Haley say one time, and it was really interesting, because at first I was like not sure about it. But what I heard her say, she said, don't let the fact that they're not building stand in the way of your success. She said, just build right. And man, I'll tell you.
Yep, build through them. That's what
that was a lesson. The only thing is, again, it does mess up your 3x3. That's okay. You're going to have 4 legs anyway. So if you don't have it on your first 3 legs, you're going to have that 4th leg. You'll pick it up on that 4th leg. That's what I ended up doing. But like in one leg, the one leg that was kind of blocked, that I had the person I was sure was going to build, who came in with the diamond kit, was at a very high rank in another company. I then, put my friend that I didn't really necessarily think she was going to be a big builder under her, and she's the one that was the big builder. And so instead of going back up under her and building her out, I just said, you know what? Maybe it'll take me a little bit longer to get my 3x3, but I'm going to be building down here. I'm going to be building down here under this one rather than up here. So that's a decision that you might have to make later. If you can do both, phenomenal. Because the 3x3 is, when you start people, that is the way to start them. And they can see it. They can see how to get to the 50. They can see how to get to the 250. And then the 1500 can happen. And nobody's leaving when they're making $250 or $1,500 a month. And then they're set up for silver.
Yep.
So
that's good stuff there, Betty. So her other question is, did you change your teaching style ever? I know the answer to this, but yeah.
I taught the same class all the way to presidential. There were, and I was partnered up with somebody at I think it was a mastermind event. And I was partnered up with somebody, and we were supposed to listen to each other's story and give them advice. And this poor guy was in doTERRA, and I was partnered up with him at Mastermind. He was teaching 24 different classes. 24 different classes. Yeah, every time like his people would get bored of a class, he'd teach another one. I have taught the same class, the intro class. But here's the thing. The same people coming every week are going to get bored to tears. But it's not supposed to be the same people every week. It's supposed to be those people bring new people. And when you've got somebody that's sitting next to you that's like really excited about the message, what they're hearing, all of a sudden that same old class becomes very exciting. So the key is to get new people there. You're not teaching to the old, you're teaching to the new. And if they're bored, then, they need to bring new people, and they also need to be up there teaching with you.
Right. That was going to be what I was going to say, is when they tell you they're bored, that means they know it, and now it's time for them to teach on their own.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. It's
Hi, bird.
And none of this yawning and arms like this. It's like everybody is engaged, because the speaker is going to be as good as the audience. And so the audience needs to be engaged, nodding the head, laughing at the jokes, taking notes. Doesn't matter how many times they've been to that class. The guests don't know that, and they're looking around to see how everybody's responding to the class. And do the speaker a big favor, because the class will be better for everybody if you put the guests in the front row, because that's where the speaker is going to get their energy, and then the guests are going to get more energy on the front row too. So make sure that you are giving energy to that speaker so that they can be more effective, and involve as many people as you can in the class. Somebody comes up and does the intro. Somebody might come up and talk about co-impact sourcing and healing hands. Somebody else talks about the 3 ways to use essential oils. You have people come up and tell their stories. Somebody else, talks about the bigger picture of wellness. And then somebody else does the close. You can involve all these different people. Usually a class, it depends on the class. If it is a one-on-one, you're talking about 30 minutes. If it is an in-home, it's going to be 45 minutes, maybe maximum of an hour. If you're talking a larger venue event, you're probably talking about an hour and a half. When I do a larger venue event in Minnesota, it's like a post-convention event. It's actually rivals post-convention events, because we've got all this really exciting stuff. There we're going to go 2 hours. And nobody's leaving. At 9 o'clock, nobody's leaving. Everybody's hanging out. The display doesn't come down until the last guest leaves the room. And we've worked out a deal with the restaurant that's in the hotel to stay open later for us, so people can just walk right next door. And then we socialize afterwards. So don't give up that opportunity. I mean, socializing, like taking your guests to dinner beforehand, or just getting together, beforehand. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Get together beforehand, go to the class, don't be in a hurry, stick around, talk to everybody, and then go out, and have an appetizer and a glass of wine or something with everybody. You accomplish as much there as you do during the class. And people want to be a part of this community and a part of the fun and just a part of that whole thing. And the conversations you hear at dinner are like, oh my gosh, you're kidding. You live in Champlin? I'm like 5 miles down the road. We should team up and teach a class. So that's the kind of interaction you are hearing. And people start working cross-line, working with each other. That has been the magic of growing Minnesota, has been not for everybody to just rush out of the room. It's for everybody to just linger. And nobody wants to leave. Sometimes, they'll close at 12 and we're still in the hallway until like 1 or 1:30 because we can't get enough time with each other because we enjoy each other's company so much. That's what you want. That's what you want. Different, classes, one-on-ones, in-homes. I know you had a question on here about in-homes and, assuming that whoever asked the question said because nobody wants to go to anybody's house or whatever. Yes, they do. Are you kidding? Yes, they do. The thing is that they don't want to go to your house all the time. So
that's true.
The only time you should be doing a class at your house is when you're first getting started with doTERRA. Diane Shepard, who is a fabulous trainer, she's a presidential in doTERRA. She has some amazing trainings. You can find them on Discover Essentials. You probably have them hosted or posted as well. But she did one, I'm trying to think of the name of it. I've got it posted, but it's how she started her business and how she did all of her classes in like 1 week. And there was a strategy to that because she invited her entire names list. She had 4 dates, all at different times. Like one was a Saturday afternoon, one was a Thursday night, one was a Tuesday morning. So nobody could say, oh, I can't make that. Oh, I can't make that. Oh, well, what about this one? So she got all of her guests to come to those classes that first week. She never had to do another class herself again, like for herself. All of her business grew from that names list, right away. So she talks about kick-starting your business or fast-starting your business, something like that. We can definitely.
That's actually, it's interesting you say that because that's how Rosalie got me started. She flew in, we had 7 days, and we taught 4 classes during that 7 days. And I invited everybody to every single class. And so some of them we had like 15 people and some we had like 5, but we did the thing, and that kick-started my business and it never stopped, and I hit diamond in 2 years. And that's how it started.
And that's fantastic because like of the people that you have on board as your qualifiers, how many came from those early events?
Oh my gosh.
Three of my qualifiers. Yeah, so 3 of my 4 qualifiers, and then a whole bunch of the people that are down underneath them were there. So yeah.
So that is such a great way to do it in the beginning. Or you can spread it out and take a little bit longer, or just, hey, take that week or 2 and then just really concentrate and then do the follow-ups and move everybody through together, because there's a certain excitement about everybody growing together. Now I remember when I went into Colorado Springs and I saw the excitement there and how you guys were growing, it was like such a beautiful thing. And you did exactly the classic model where you met one-on-one with people, then you did in-homes, but you do the in-homes in their homes because their people will show up at their house. And then eventually you have to go into larger venues, because otherwise you're just working with your new people in their one-on-ones, their two-on-ones, their in-homes, and then you don't see your older people. So you go to the larger venues because that way you're accessible and all the leaders are accessible to each other. And there's an amazing power in that. So it's not like picking and choosing. We're gonna all do more one-on-ones than anything else. And a lot of people say, oh, I only do one-on-ones, that's my best thing. Well, that's great. And we should become experts at doing the one-on-ones. But somebody's gonna say, I've got a mom, I've got a sister, I've got a friend who should hear this. My husband should hear this. Now you got an in-home. And I think those are the best in-homes when you're meeting with somebody one-on-one and they're all excited and they're like, I've got 3 or 4 people that need to hear this. And you say, well, let's find out some time, like a time, and let's get those people together over your kitchen table. That's the in-home. It's not like, would you like to host an event? And let's invite all these people. They've got 3 or 4 people that they've created that in-home around. And then now that they've got those 3 or 4 for sure, they now can invite other people. And it turns into the most awesome in-home. And if you've got 5 guests in an in-home, you've got a great in-home.
That's a great class.
That's a great in-home. And then eventually,
well, there's a synergy in that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So good. One of the questions that we have is favorite ways to motivate your team.
Okay, I think the favorite way is fun. Is you have a ton of fun. Everything is fun. The class is fun. The after party is fun. Sometimes you just go to like a concert together. Sometimes you get together and, hey, we're going to show a movie. We're going to show Forks Over Knives, or, you know, something, and you have kind of like a movie night somewhere. I think that's, and staying, like, don't be in such a rush to leave convention right after it ends. Like when people are running to the airport to catch their plane, when it just ended, or maybe they miss a couple of hours. No. Like what you do is you go to the airport, rent a Suburban for one day, load up your Suburban and go to Sundance, you know, and do something fun at Sundance, or go to Park City. That is like totally the way that I've built my team, and, you know, really motivated people was through those friendships. And you guys know so well, because you're just such seasoned pros at this, you know that once somebody knows 3 to 5 people as friends, they're not leaving. They're part of the community. They're part of the family. And
it's
the people that are their friends, it's like geese. We're like a bunch of geese, right? If somebody goes down and is having a bad day, 2 others go down there and, you know, stay with that one and then bring it up to the rest of them. You know, like you help each other. And one thing that you don't do is you don't go down with them. Okay, so like negativity, there's no place for it. There's a silver lining in everything. Make, you know, lemonade out of lemons always, and never talk anything negative with your downline ever. Because you might be down today, but tomorrow you're going to be flying sky high, but you just planted a bad seed. It's like talking about your husband to your mom. You don't want to do that. Your mom doesn't forget. Okay, you forget, your mom doesn't forget. Same thing. You don't want to do that with your downline. Okay, so when you are feeling down, and everybody's going to have a down day, go to your upline. Go to your upline. And if you're getting a bright idea, like a really innovative, bright idea, believe me, somebody else has already had it at some point. So go to your experienced upline, Sharon Russ, you know, myself, Rosalie, Lori. We've been around the block. We've seen all the bright ideas, and we can, you know, kind of guide you through it. There's some real negativity out on the internet. And there was somebody who used to be in my downline in one of my first companies who paid tens of thousands of dollars to put together a program. And it was, and she's very well known. And she was never successful herself at direct sales or network marketing. But she figured out that if she paid somebody to put out negative things, like the name of the company is a scam, that people would click on it. They click on it, they give power to it, and it goes right to the top. And then she sells them her program, and her program is like a training program, and the whole way through the program is, don't talk to your upline about this. This is what they're going to say. She goes through and says exactly what they're going to say to get them to follow her, you know, into her very expensive training program. I don't think there's any room for negativity like that. Yeah.
I agree with you on that one. The next question that these are Nicole Powell's questions. To give samples or not to give samples?
I don't give samples. I sample people when I'm with them. I sample the beadlet. I'll sample the past tense. I'll sample the wild orange. I'll sample the whisper. I will pick 1 or 2. That's it for that person. Okay. And then I whetted their appetite enough to where I can then set the appointment, and I use, you know, the script, you know, let's set up a time to talk about your health goals. My part's going to take about 30 minutes. I'm going to tell you about what are essential oils and how to use them. There's no obligation to buy, but if you want to buy something, I can help you with that. How does that sound? Sounds great. Okay, so which one works for you? Friday after work or Saturday before lunch? They pick one, you set the appointment, and you have your one-on-one. And
that's
then,
awesome.
Yeah, that's how you do it. And then like I might use like the toothpaste samples or the shampoo and conditioner samples or the deep blue samples with somebody who's already enrolled in order to get them using more products. Okay, so that's the way that I use my samples.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great information. This is an interesting question that she has. I've heard the beadlets contain a half a drop or a fourth of a drop in each beadlet. Which one is it?
1/3 of a drop.
1/3 of a drop.
Yes.
Okay. That's awesome.
So right between the two, right?
That's awesome. Yeah, our friend Nicole is, she's a U.S. citizen, but she's doing a 6-month sabbatical in the UK. So she's in London right now.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so she'll probably catch this on the recording. So, and that's another thing I was going to tell you is that I'll make this recording available to you so that you can share it, you know, and discover essentials with your team too. So, yeah. So,
about classes. You asked me before about classes, and I told you that I taught the intro class, and I call it Essential Oils and Wellness. It's like the Natural Solutions class. I use that handout. Whatever doTERRA has, that's what I use.
Right.
But, I taught that all the way to presidential, but that's not to say that my team did not have access to special topics classes, because they did. They had access to special topics classes taught by people who are experts in a certain field or people who have a passion for a certain area. So we would have special topics classes, you know, taught by those people. You don't need to teach them. I had somebody that came up to me one time and said, okay, I want you to teach like a dog class next time. And I said, if you're interested in a dog class, you go ahead and teach the dog class. You know, I will be there to support you and answer questions, but you like learn it and you figure it out and you teach that class. Your team will take as much as you give.
right.
And it's like our kids. There comes a point where, you know, like at first I heard Dr. Stoyer's wife use this. She's amazing, Callie Stoyer, and she has an MBA actually. So she's very brilliant herself. But she was talking about like kids, and she's like, you know, she said, I was teaching my kids how to clean the toilet, and they were watching me like, oh yeah, great. You know, this is how you clean the toilet. And she's like, until you actually make them clean the toilet themselves, they don't learn it. But they will sit there and watch and let you clean the toilet forever. So, you know, we just have to remember. And like the Goddards are so good at, like they put together that all the ranks are like a different age level. It's so true. And they're experts because they've got like 9 kids, I think.
Yeah, they would know.
They know. So it really truly is like raising kids. It is.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Well, those are the questions that we had for you. Do you have anything else that you want to add that you feel like
yes,
we need to know, that our team needs to know? I know you do. So
yes, 2 book recommendations. One of them is called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. It is the best book for your whole life. Okay.
Yep.
The Slight Edge, Jeff Olson. You ask half of the people that are diamonds and above in doTERRA what their favorite book is, it's going to be that book.
Right.
The next book I believe is just fantastic. It's called Go For No. I can't remember the author, but it's called Go For No. And so here's the deal. It's I can't remember the specifics, but it was something like they were selling medical insurance, and they would go to 60 houses a week. And this consultant was asked to come in and like analyze this and kind of give them tips because the company was going under. So these reps would go to 60 houses a week, and they would make like 4 sales each week. It's like, why 60 houses a week? Why not 60 houses a day? If somebody says no, it's no. And they actually tested it, and they said they would just go up to the door, knock on the door and say, you wouldn't be interested in medical insurance, would you? And they got as many yeses as they did when they belabored the point. You know, the right person's going to say, well, yeah, I am interested in it. Come on in. And so they increased from 4 sales a week to 4 sales a day. And it's because instead of doing 60 calls a week, they did 60 calls a day. I'm not saying to go door to door. I'm not saying to, you know, go 60, but just, you know, if it's no, it's no. And so, you know, there are 3 qualifying questions that we ask. You know, when you strike up a conversation with somebody, you're talking with them, and, you know, it just kind of comes up, you know, the wellness part of it comes up. You could just say, well, are you interested in natural forms of healthcare? Or are you not interested? Don't ever use that word. Are you open to natural forms of healthcare? Are you open to natural forms of healthcare? If they say no, just move on, right? If they say yes, you ask them, what do you know about essential oils? And then you zip it and wait for them to answer. And then you ask them, would you like to learn more? That's it. And then you go into the script where you say, what we talked about before. Well, let's set up a time to talk. My part's going to take 30 minutes. I'm going to tell you about what are essential oils, how to use them, no obligation to buy. But if you decide you want something, I can help you out with that. How does that sound? So it's just learning that simple little script, and you might, tweak it a little bit for that person that you're talking to, but just in general, that's your script. It's like the guys that went to the door and knocked and said, you wouldn't be interested in healthcare, would you? Or medical insurance, would you? It's just, that's your script. It just keep going until you find the right person. Because if you're sitting there trying to talk somebody into it, here's somebody that really needs it and it could change their life, is walking right by. Walking right by. Another thing I would add, when you're doing vendor events, you're not there for a bunch of names. If you hit it off with somebody, you're there for that one person. So if you come out there with one or two really good people, that's way better than having a list of 300 people that don't know who you are and you don't know who they are.
That's right.
Yeah. So anything else?
Yeah, so we had one person put a question in here, Janine Michaels. She says, I just had 2 builders quit. How did you keep going when discouraging things like that happened?
So you know what? We probably should talk personally, because we need to know the situation behind those builders. Were they ever really builders? Or did you put them in a position where you were building them out? They didn't know what the expectation was. You didn't have that critical conversation with them. You thought they were a builder, but they weren't.
Gotcha.
And then they felt the pressure of it. And then they quit. And like, what do you mean quit? They're a builder and they quit? They were making money and they quit? Like, what are they quitting? They're quitting healthiness? Like being healthy? Okay, so she's saying something. What is she saying?
One of them was a builder. One, I did all the work.
Yep. Okay, so the one that you did all the work, you could see where that could happen. The other one that was the builder, what happened? Was she moving too slowly? Because we did have somebody who was a silver under one of my qualifiers who decided that she didn't want to build anymore because it wasn't moving fast enough. She was making $800 a month, and she said, for my efforts, that's not enough. And she was talking all the time about, somebody that she was having to carry all their weight. So then she took all this time off. The person that was above her kept working with her team. Her team is growing again. Now she's, building again. Now she's making more money, but it's still not enough. So, I think that having critical conversations with people and like figuring out what are your expectations, put them on the phone with like Sharon Russ, like they need to talk to, a diamond or above, and they need to, talk about, like, let's look at how many people you've enrolled. When was the last person that you enrolled? What do you do to make sure that you increased your retention on your team? The first enrollment is the first enrollment. The second enrollment is the Live Guide. So you need to go through the Live Guide, go through that conversation that you have about lifestyle, go through and give them the education on the systems of the body, and then go through and work up their plan. Like the Live Guide is the best tool that we have for increasing retention. But we have to do it, and we have to do it within just a few days of their enrollment. And definitely, like what I like to do is you enroll them, they get their kit, and depending on which kit they get, and usually it's a Natural Solutions kit, you're going to go through every single product, open every single bottle, make sure that they know how to use every single product. And then usually it's too much all in one appointment. I'll set another appointment, and that's when we go through the Live Guide and we set up their LRP for the next month if they didn't already do it. Because normally when I enroll them, I'll say, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and set you up, set them up for Lifelong Vitality Pack, the PB Assist Plus, the Mito 2 Max, the Terrazyme, a bottle of grapefruit. That brings them to 106 PV, which doesn't mean anything to them. It means something to you. And then I'll say, you know what? You were telling me that, you've got like a child with some skin, issues. Let's get rid of your laundry detergent. Let's replace that. So enough additional products that month to bring it up to 125 PV. they're going to get the product within the first 15 days, and then they're going to get a free product so that they can sample a free product. So,
right.
you know, it's like I will do that on the enrollment. If I see an opening, I'm going to go ahead and set it up, and I'll say, you know, we will talk before this processes to see if there's anything you want to change or add. If you don't have it there, you're going to meet with them again. Of course, either way, you're going to meet with them when they get their product to show them how to use the product. And then you're going to meet with them again to go through the live guide in detail. And then that is going to be 100%. If you haven't set them up for LRP at the enrollment, you're going to set it out for them then. Okay. And that's how you increase retention.
Yep. That's perfect. Perfect. So what Janine says is, I think the gal who was a builder got a high pressure job that took her out of state 1 week a month. So,
so why can't she just stay on LRP and just have you help her in the meantime?
Right.
You know, I had my frontline people, and I say frontline even though they weren't frontline necessarily, but my qualifiers, when I first started, they were all working other jobs full time, which really put a big load on me because, you know, I had a little bit of money coming in from another company at the time, but I was like very seriously in debt and really going under more every month, had already lost everything basically. But I took on their load. And as they started to make more money and they worked it whenever they could, and I kept them informed of things that were going on in their organization, and I continued to go and do classes for them as they went part-time and then eventually quit their jobs. And of my 6 qualifiers, 5 of them are full-time now. But as they quit their jobs and they took on more of the responsibility for their teams. But man, you really have to trust people to do that. But you know, if she understands that you understand she's under a lot of pressure, you know, you really want it to be her, and you know, that you will help to carry some of her load right now when she can't. Right. And then what you do is you enlist the people that are under her to help with anybody that's under them.
Right.
Right. Yeah. That's kind of how we did. Yeah. Well, gosh, this has been just amazing. You've given us so much wonderful, good stuff. I mean, there are so many nuggets. I'm going to have to go back and watch this again so I can take notes, because I didn't want to take notes. I didn't want to seem like I was being rude, but yeah, this has just been fantastic, Betty. You're awesome.
And it's all the stuff that we already know, right? Like all
it is.
Right.
We already know, but it's like we need to hear it and say it and be reminded of it. And that's why when you've got a business training in your area, don't ever ask, oh, what's going to be taught at that training? Or is that the training that I went to last month? No, you go, because you are going to pick up something that you're going to be reminded of. The situation in your life has changed. Something additional will become relevant. Just one thing that you come out of that training with that changes your business and your life was worth the training. So keep going. Keep going. It's never the same thing twice.
Well, thank you so much. After this processes, because it's going to be a little while, when it processes, I will give you the recording and you can share it or do whatever you want with it. But we really appreciate you being here and helping us out. And we love you, Betty.
I love you guys. You guys are such professionals, and it is just such an honor, such a privilege to work with you. And I'm just so glad that we're in this, you know, in this community, in it for the long haul, all of us together. So everybody, lifting everybody else. That's what we do.
It's so good. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
And we're just going to do a couple of, we got some housekeeping we're going to do. We're going to talk about Prime Meridian and the sales guide. So you can hang out or you can leave us if you want to. That's up to you.
I'm listening in. If you want to put me on mute, can I mute myself?
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
all right.
I want to listen into what you guys are talking about, because I missed because of some things, so I didn't get to hear all that stuff.
Oh, very cool. All right, so we're gonna get going here then. Okay. All right, Russ, you want to do yours here?
Okay, I thought we'd go through Prime Meridian first, and then.
Oh, and then you'll do the. Okay. So this, I want to talk to you guys about Prime Meridian, and then at the very end of this, you guys need to stick around because I have a bottle of Clary Sage that we're going to be giving away. So Prime Meridian is the health clinics that doTERRA is putting together, and we currently have 3. And they said that this year, by the end of 2019, we will have another one in Phoenix. And then from there, we're going to, there's a timeline. So it goes over the next 5 years. There are 3 phases that they are going to implement these Prime Meridian health clinics, and it's super exciting. And so Denver is slated to get one. They don't have a time frame, but it's in the 2nd phase. All right. So right now, this phase that we're doing is going to be Phoenix. The 2nd phase is Denver, as well as a whole bunch of other places, which is really, really, really exciting.
Right. Yeah.
And so the reason that this is it's such a hot seat for me, it's such an important thing for me, because not everyone knows this story, but when I lost my job in 2013, and I received my my COBRA insurance coverage, my COBRA bill was going to be $1,400 a month, and I had just lost my job. There's no way that we could have afforded that, and that was in 2013. Okay, so what would it be today? And I have permission from our friends to use this. I asked them, and they said, please share.
Please, please.
Please. So we have a couple who is our age. She just retired after 32 years of being in a teaching career as a high school or middle school principal. And their health insurance coverage for the 2 of them is $2,200 a month. Now, I don't know about you guys on this call, but we cannot afford $2,200 a month in health insurance. And so that's why we don't. So Russ and I, since I lost my job in 2013, have not had health insurance coverage.
We have major benefit.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, we have something that's called a health sharing plan. So we have Christian Healthcare Ministries. That has been our major medical plan since I lost my job. It costs us a few $100s a month, okay? But these Prime Meridian health clinics, you guys, are taking that $2,200 nonsense out of the equation. It is so exciting, and this is one of the things I am so passionate about this, because a family of 4 can go to a Prime Meridian clinic and receive everyday health care for $198 a month. A family of 4, $198 a month. Are you serious? That's $2,000 a month in savings for my friends. It's actually more than that, because they're a couple, and so a married couple, the cost is $158 a month. Are you serious? That's a huge savings. That's like $25,000 a year. That's crazy. That's like a huge raise. So as you can see, I am very, very, very passionate about the Prime Meridian health clinics, and I cannot wait. Seriously, you guys, we will move to be within 50 miles of the clinic if that's what it takes to get the coverage, right? All right, so very exciting stuff. This is super, super cool. Okay, so now Russ is going to talk about the Founders Club for the Prime Meridian Health Clinics.
Yeah, so very exciting news we got at Leadership. I don't know if any of you on the call, or some of you I'm sure have or do know this, but there are different Founders Clubs for different countries for doTERRA, for our business that we have. And they decided to include the Prime Meridian as a wellness, what they call the Prime Wellness Club. And I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible.
We have slides,
yeah.
And we'll share the slides when we're done.
Yes. So what's going to happen is, after I talk tonight, we're going to, I don't know, maybe do another Facebook Live, or
yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, and just kind of
that's a really good idea.
Do it by pieces. But I guess the short of it is, like I said, it's a Founders Club for Prime Meridian. And there's going to be 300 slots or 300 spaces for the club. And how it's going to work and how the thing is going to work is through the same as the incentive trip. So it's through enrollments and it's through LRPs. So it
mirrors Diamond Club too.
Yeah, and it mirrors Diamond Club, but it
so you
mirrors,
get points.
Yeah, it mirrors the incentive trip.
Exactly.
Exactly. As far as enrollments, you get 2 points for anywhere from 100 enrollment to 249, and then 250 and up, you get 4 points. You get points for months I believe it's 1 through 4 for LRPs. So if you have someone that stays on LRP, because again, like Betty was saying, it's all about retention, right? So they're going to reward you for building a business, and they're going to reward you for the retention, which is the long term to our business. So it's really cool. At the end of the year, so it runs a year to year. They're going to give 25 spots will be permanent. So the top 25, whoever the top 25 during that contest period, during that year, will be permanently in the Founders Club.
Forever and ever.
Forever and ever. And then year 2, they're going to add another 25. Year 3, they're going to add another 25. And year 4, they're going to max out at 100. But while all this is happening, there's 300 spaces, right? So after year 4, there'll be 200 spaces that will be available floating every year. And so that gives everyone a chance to be part of that year to year, while still rewarding those people, those pioneers that started out in those first 4 years.
And so, there's a lot of details to it. So
there's a lot, and there's
a percentage of the Prime Meridian, whatever the Prime Meridian gross sales that is going to be a part of it. And
right.
So there's a lot that's going to go into it, but it is very, very exciting.
It is so exciting. Like I said, I'll dig in it deeper and probably piece it out as far as how it goes out. But exciting stuff. So the Prime Meridian, we are going to knock the socks off the health insurance industry.
We're basically taking health insurance out of the equation, you guys. That's what this is.
And us as a company are already knocking the socks off of pharmaceuticals, right? And the healthcare system. We are just going to devastate this whole thing. Just watch. This thing is going to be huge. Some of the things they're forecasting as far as what we will be doing business-wise. We're a $2 billion company now. Down the road, 10 years from now, we'll be well over 20 billion.
Yep.
So those 2 items. I know that Shar wanted to talk about the sales brochure, the new sales brochure they brought out.
I'm writing names down right now. Okay, so there is a brand new sales guide. All right, so it's a part of the Empowered Success program, and Empowered Success is it's the tool, right? When I started doTERRA, we didn't have this. I didn't have these tools. We used to go to Aroma Tools. I did what Betty did. Rosalie was taught by Betty, and Rosalie taught me how to build my business. That is where I learned, right? And Rosalie threw me to the wolves. And she would tell you this if she was sitting right here. She would actually laugh. She taught my first class. The second class, she gave me the handout and says, "You're teaching." And I said, "No, I'm not." And she said, "Yes, you are, and you'll be just fine." And I did, and I was just fine. And you know what? I was off and running. I took off. I was off and running. So, so that's the Empowered Success. It is a tool that you guys have to learn how to build your business from start to finish, right? So it goes from the very beginning all the way through. And you guys do realize that when you're doing this as a business that you are in sales. And even if you think you're not in sales, guess what? You are. You are selling yourself every day. I had to sell myself to this guy so he would marry me, right? He had a lot of girlfriends. And so I had to sell myself. I had to sell really hard to get him to pay attention to me. He didn't even remember me the first time we met. Look at the look on his face. It's true. It's true. So we are constantly selling ourselves. Every single day when you go out and you leave your house, you are in sales. And so it's really important that you understand that and that you realize that. And if you're uncomfortable with it, Haley Hobson and a bunch of other beautiful presidential diamonds and above created this sales guide for you. Neil Anderson had a hand in it. It is so good. So good. And so what I'm going to do is I'm putting together a Zoom about that, and I'm going to go through it step by step. And then there are 15 videos that have already been created about this sales guide. And so those videos are located under the Empowered Success tab on doTERRA.com. And to make it really easy for you guys, I'm going to take those 15 videos and I'm going to put them on our in our group as units. So they'll be right there, easily accessible for you, okay? So the sales guide is fantastic. I've gone through it. It's beautiful. It's brilliantly done. There are scripts in there for you to use. If you guys want to do something like role playing, I'm happy to do that with you. Okay, so here's the dirty stuff, you guys. I've been in sales my whole life. I've always been self-employed, and therefore I have always had to sell my skills, okay? So I'm very comfortable in this. Selling for me is very, very comfortable. I've never had a hard time with it, but I know that some of you do. And Russ and I were also trained by one of the masters in sales. His name is Tom Hopkins, and a lot of what he does now, you know, if you look at it now, you look at the videos and you listen to the cassette tapes. Yeah, we had cassettes. It's kind of hokey, right? It's kind of cheesy and corny. And that's not what this sales guide is, okay? This sales guide is beautifully done. It's very professional. And I want to help you be comfortable in that. So if that's something that you guys think you might be willing to do, I need you to say that you want to participate, because I'm willing to do that. Right? Like I said, I'm very comfortable in sales, and so it doesn't bother me at all. So that's the sales guide. Lots of good stuff in there, and I'm definitely going to go there, and then we'll go a little deeper if that's what you guys need me to do. And then Russ is going to talk about the tours while I get these names down.
Yes.
I'm going to write the names.
Just kind of the last thing on what Shar was talking about with the sales guide and what I saw from it, and it's with all the Empower Success stuff. And again, a lot of this information put together by great presidentials like Betty. There's I go through some of the stuff on Empower Success and like the sales guide, and I'm looking at it and going, yeah, that's what we learned from Rosalie. That's what we learned from Maureen. That's what we learned from Betty, and from Justin. Right? Mm-hmm. It's all It's all about duplication and keeping it simple.
Yep.
And the company has done a fantastic job at putting this together. And like we were talking about at the beginning of this call, back in the day when we were, walking in the snow,
in the day,
uphill both ways, we didn't have stuff like this. But now we do, and you guys get to utilize all this awesome stuff. Yes. Oh, okay. So I just.
I'm making the sheets. I got everybody's name.
And then the last thing, Healthy Habits for Life. The tour was the post leadership tour.
I have scissors right here.
They're going on all over the place, guys.
Yeah, check
just on doTERRA.com. Tomorrow on Life at Fullest Learn and Share Facebook group. I'll put the link to it. But it's real easy. It's on doTERRA.com. You just where it says advocates, you click on that, and then events, and then in the events drop down. There's going to be the Healthy Habits tour. They're all over the place. The way they're going to structure it is there's going to be business training during the day from 2 to 5. And that's $10 per person, but it's going to be phenomenal stuff. Okay, guys, phenomenal stuff from tons of leaders that are movers and shakers. Really got that going on. And then that night, the very same night, so it's a one-day thing, from 7 to 9. So if you're staying for the whole day, you just go out and have dinner. Come back from 7 to 9. It's free for all, and it's going to be introduction to the doTERRA and product training. So we're going to have our VP of sales from all the different regions out there helping out, and all the different leaders that, like I said, the up and comings and all the people that we can listen to and learn some stuff from.
Okay.
All right. So
I have all the names in here. You have to be present to win. So
it's from the drawing. I forgot to get my hat.
Oh, we don't need a hat.
Okay.
I have my hands, and I put all the slips in here.
All right.
All right. So pick one.
Just pick one.
Let me see. Simone Corbet.
Yay.
Simone, you are the luckiest person ever. You win everything, and that's awesome. I'm
Yay,
so
Simone.
excited. So I will be sending you this beautiful bottle of Clary Sage. I don't know if you are using or if you have used Simone. It is so, so good. It is one of my faves. It's sitting right here on my desk with ylang ylang. So I like Clary Sage and ylang ylang together. Oh my gosh, it smells so beautiful in here. It's a little girly for Russ, but it's okay. He doesn't mind. He likes girly. All right. We love you guys. And thank you so much, Betty, again, for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
Thank everyone. Thank you guys for being on this call. And stay tuned for all of those things. We will have all of your stuff in there. Thank you, Betty. We love you.
Love you.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.